So today the topic of our conversation is emotions. Let's start with that. And my name is Polina. We have Veronica here and Fia. He is actually the initiator of this talk. Fia, maybe you will start and say how we connected, why we're here, and why you had an idea to have a chat about emotions today.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone who's joining from wherever in the world you are. My name is Fee. I go Fika Honey. I use any pronouns. And I first heard about Story Shift Project like probably a couple of weeks ago. And I checked out their Substack and they were exploring one emotion a day, which I found really amazing because I think our understanding of emotions is so crucial to how we go about the world. And the more we can bring into our consciousness, the more clarity we can have in our lives and more intentionality. I know for me, I'm diagnosed bipolar, so like 15 years ago. So for me, it was a really long journey of understanding different kinds of therapies that help with emotions and also help with thought work and mindset work and almost planning your thinking. This is something, many coaches talk about, like, what do you want to think and what do you want to feel? And I remember reading one of their posts where they asked a question. It was something like that, like, what do you want to feel? And I was like, that is exactly the right question. And how do we design our lives to get the kind of mental states and emotional states, physical states that we want so we can thrive globally, right? We're one planet. We are Earth. So that's why this was really important to me. And I'm really excited to be here and see wherever the conversation goes and do all the exciting stuff that y'all have planned.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you. Actually, we have an activity planned for today with metaphoric cards that we'll tell about a bit later. And the question is literally what you've just asked. One of the questions that we're going to explore: what emotion do you want to feel instead or more in your life? So let me do the introduction. Thank you, Fee, for having us here. We're happy to talk and explore how emotions can play a part in improving our lives as a community, global community, individually, and for women in particular, because that's our niche that we explore and work with. And we represent here the Story Shift Project, a new initiative that we launched recently, firstly in the form of a Substack. My name is Polina. This is Veronica. I'm based in Texas. Veronica, tell us, where are you?
Yeah, I'm Ukrainian, but living in France, just near Paris. Yeah, and we are both have the marketing experience during 15 years, and we have lots in common with Polina, and it was our decision to make something that is similar for us, yeah, as Polina and as for me, because now we have 5 years of experience in coaching and psychology, and we are working with women. We try to empower women and to show the best way they can live. And our project named as the Story Shift Project, because everybody of us has our own story, but we can add something and we can change if we want. And we can live another story that we usually have in our head. Voila.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, because story is a concept that's so close to us. Having teaching background, linguistics background, and marketing, stories there is one of the main tools as well, and in our lives in general, right? So stories is interpretation that we build of what is happening around, and it can be anything. I've recently heard read about a case in the book from a law school when one of the professors ran a brief experiment. He arranged some actors to break into a classroom in the middle of the lecture and imitate as if they are gangsters or starting a fight with the students or between each other, and then they left. And then he interviewed each law student separately as a witness, asking what they saw. And each story was different. Some people even remembered that there were 3 people, not 2. Some retold a different succession of events. Some made up some details. So that's, if I'm not mistaken, it's even an effect called the witness effect, that no eyewitness can present an objective picture of what's happening, because we have our own backgrounds that define how we interpret the events around. So that's very fascinating. That's regarding stories.
Just asking and what do you think about the stories? Is it the story, remarkable story perhaps in your life that you would like to change or to add some other facts to have another effect or result?
Wait, do you mean for me, what story would I want to change in my life? I mean, I just posted about this yeah. I just posted about this on my weight loss area. When I was younger, I used to judge gym bros. Okay, so anybody who was a fanatic about going to the gym or was really into protein powder or just that type of guy basically. And it's so funny because now I go to the gym, I use protein powder, and I actually understand why they kind of are the way they are, because it is healing actually to go to the gym. I didn't realize that what I can get there is healing for myself. I thought it was all vanity and this and that, right? So today I was reflecting that I'm becoming the thing that I judged, right? I'm becoming the very thing that I judged. And it kind of really was hard to accept that. And that's why I also love the concept of the stories that we tell ourselves, which, many people have talked about. Byron Katie is one of the people that I really learned a lot from around the stories that we tell ourselves and how important it is to kind of not just question them, but really witness them and understand them and then be open and curious instead of, my friend says this, curious instead of furious, right? And it's really challenging to do. This just happened with my partner yesterday too. And our partners reveal all of our work that we still have to do. And I was like, oh no, but that wasn't my point of view. I didn't know, that's not what happened. And we were not agreeing, right? It's really challenging to change those things. And I was just thinking about that this morning, with identity too. It does, after a while, become a belief, and then it becomes a way of living, and it becomes your limits, and it's your little comfortable area that you stay in. Does that kind of answer that? I mean, I was literally thinking about it today.
Yes, that's fascinating. And for me, as you said, those interpretations that do not coincide usually with other people, like in my story example too. For me, emotions are also stories, like micro stories that help us decide whether something that is happening is good or bad for us. First of all, right? Whether it's something that we like or don't like. And from our challenge, and we'll get back, I would want to talk more about it later. From our challenge, the main thing that I noticed for myself, I think, is that stories are basically our tools to help us survive. They were meant by evolution to help us survive, to determine where is danger, what we need to do, what we didn't like and what was happening, and what we like. So how we can shape our experience and build our lives and write our stories again, based on this knowledge, right?
Yeah, and I also would like to add that not every story should be changed. We speak a lot about it with Paulina, and sometimes we just need to add some facts to have the other result. Yeah, but we have no need to change the story completely. Perhaps we live our best story right now. We have no need to change it. We have no need to add something. We just need to live in a full emotional
Freedom.
yeah, exact freedom. So just to understand, because sometimes I hear that I would like to change, I would like to add, or I would like to have the other life, another life. Yeah, but we need to remember we are not obliged. Just
That's true. That's true. By the way, I can see there are 3 people who've joined. Can you share with us where are you from? You see, we have a multicultural
cultural.
company here already. We're curious where you're from. You can type in the chat in the message where you're from, and also how are you feeling today? Since we're talking emotions, share with us what's your main emotion or the current brightest emotion that you are feeling in your body. For me, I think it's curiosity right now, because I'm really curious to see how this conversation goes and what we uncover more. Because for me, even the process of writing posts was a mini research in itself. And it led to so many new strings of more curiosity, what else we can explore. So I'm curious right now. What about you?
And I have a question on that too. Like when you chose the emotions that you chose for the project, how did you decide? And also something funny happened. I think you posted about boredom sometime last week. And I was having such a boring week, like for that duration. And it was so funny to see that word. And I was just thinking like just synchronicities, you know, but it made me wonder like, okay, how are you picking the order or like choosing which ones? Like, was it from somewhere or what's the inspiration behind that?
The inspiration was probably the book The Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown that I've read and reread, and we were discussing it with Veronica. And when we launched our Substack, she had an idea like, why don't we start with exploring emotions ourselves? And we used this book among other sources as well. But this kind of research and approach that Brené Brown has probably was the inspiration, because we loved how she explores it in different modalities, and we try to do the same to see what each emotion means to us and how it expresses through our bodies, through the art that we see, through the books and myths that we live in, and in bodily sensations, how different people feel different emotions, or do we feel all them in a similar manner? What
And
do you
you
want
said
to?
that the myths that we live in, can you share more about that? Like, what do you mean by that?
Yes, myths are the stories that are stored in our collective subconscious, in the some kind of storage, as I see it, where all the foundational stories about the world and the life are stored, and they've been told and retold from generation to generation, and that's how we still have them. Right? They were shaped, and they sometimes they started existing in parallel reality to scientific discoveries, which may have contradicted the myths, right? Why the sun rises, right? Or is the earth flat or round? And how we all came to be here on this planet together. Some not only scientific but also religious stories appeared, right? That kind of retold those initial myths. or some mystical traditions may have been retelling this myth as well. But the curious fact is that, from what we know from Carl Jung's works, is that these myths are stored somewhere where we can access them. Probably genetically, they have been inherited from generation by our generations from previous ones, from our ancestors, and that's how we still live in them. So that's very important part of this exploration to see how it all started in our
Yeah.
stories. Myths are basically the first stories that have appeared, and they were recorded in some form, so we still have access to them today.
Yeah. And that makes sense with the
Absolutely.
evolution of the brain too. Oh, go ahead, Veronica. Were you gonna add something? I don't know.
No, just to add that we studied the triggers that our brain faced with how we should work with those or that emotion. I mean, if we feel something, it doesn't mean that the person opposite us feel the same. And the study of it's very important to understand that different people can feel the same emotion in different ways. We can have the same biochemical process in the brain, but psychologically or in the heart, if you want, we can feel really in different levels. And it depends on our skills, on our characters, on our spirit today. Perhaps tomorrow you will live this emotion in another way, but today you have this way of feeling.
Yeah, and I love that because even with like dream analysis, if you take Jungian dream analysis, right, it's a lot about like having your own, what's your relationship to whatever showed up in the dream. It's about interpreting it for yourself. And I was thinking, I mean, I think that that's so much part of what you're saying is that it's a language between you and your body and how to decode that for yourself because it may not look like what other people are going through. And I have kind of two things on that. Like my friend had a pretty severe diagnosis and he was in the hospital and he wasn't feeling any pain. And they were surprised because he should have been feeling a lot of pain and he wasn't feeling it. And I know him, his pain tolerance is really high, but I found that so interesting that the mind and the body can exist in a way that is atypical from what we would expect, first of all. And then it led me to this. I was doing this hypnotherapy kind of session a couple of weeks ago, and I was in pain. And when I went into hypnosis, the pain in my body disappeared. And my mind kept going down. It was like, where's the pain? Where's the pain? Like it was looking for the pain because I'd been, I'd had so much pain. And I just found that so bizarre that I can relax to this degree that I can alter my perception of my inner world to that degree. And it really is subjective per person. And we have access to our inner world, and that is the greatest gift we've been given is our inner world. It's our secret. It's for us. It's for us to explore. It's for us to find out. It's magical. I used to be sad, I'd like, well, why can't, my partner can't understand me? Why can't my sister know exactly what I mean, And now I'm like, thank the Lord they don't. And I get to, be with myself for these things and
Right.
it's much more loving now. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. I liked your direction. Yes. And this whole idea that this is a part of us that is only up to us to explore and to use these inner resources that we've been given to our advantage and then to advantage of others and the world globally, probably. Because that's the idea that I got from working with women as well and from doing studies like in Ukraine, it's called the resource therapy. It's a direction of psychology which helps people kind of boost their inner resources, right? The values that we have the things that we treasure, some past memories that we value, that give us strengths, that let us feel strong and like we're surviving, and maybe even thriving. And that's what up to us to use it or not use it. And emotions, understanding our emotions is the first step towards it. So we're right now ready to launch a program with Veronica in October that will help women, that is supposed to help women go from feeling stuck or lost to understanding what's going on, to being honest with themselves in saying, I want this in my life, like similar to what we started with, right? What emotions do I want to feel and what do I want to see in my life, how I want this story to unfold, and then taking action on it. So the first step in this program is emotion processing, because that's what helps us get unblocked, unstuck, and because sometimes those conflicting emotions keep us frozen. Because we feel that it's just procrastination, or we may call ourselves lazy, but in fact, it's some conflict that it's not letting us move. For example, let's say someone wants to start a family, but also scared that this will not let them express themselves professionally, will block their career growth, right? Or will dissolve their individuality, right? So this big desire is conflicting with this big fear. And only when we understand those two emotions, and the first step is acknowledge them, right? Sit with ourselves and say, okay, that's what's going on. That's what I'm feeling. Let those emotions be processed in a healthy way. And then we can act upon it. We will have a huge release of energy, because what's happening when we are suppressing emotions or not dealing with those conflicting ones is that we are spending so much energy on maintaining this inner conflict, right? Or not allowing ourselves to express those emotions. And that's what's keeping us stuck, basically. And that's what we see is one of the biggest problems, especially in women, because I believe that we have more conflicting responsibilities and roles and hats to wear. So we need to sort out and say to ourselves, okay, that's what is really important to me, and that's what I want to focus on. That's what I want to honor in my life. And these things I can put aside, not pay much attention.
And let me add also, as Fee, you told at the very beginning, that it's so important to ask, what do you feel? What are you feeling? Because in my coaching practice, as I see, it's not very often we ask ourselves or the other person, what do you feel? We can ask the other questions, what is the aim? What do you want? Or what is your achievement? Or I don't know, something else. But it's very, very rare, that we ask, what do you feel? For example, you've done something, you have reflection, but what do you feel in that moment? And what would you like to feel in the same situation? Voilà, et c'est comme... and I'm sorry. Yeah, and
we love your friend. Speak more.
Oh, sorry. And it is the reason why we studied this project with Polina, because we understand their role of emotions and the feelings. Very often we don't discover, we don't show what I feel, or what are we feeling, what we are feeling. Yeah, and we try to hide. Yeah, to hide it.
Mm-hmm.
Voilà.
Yes. If you allow,
I wanted to say two things that I found really interesting. And I do agree with you, Veronica, about just even asking that question, which is a simple question, but it's it requires some amount of mindfulness and being aware. And I wanted to also say, like, about what you said about procrastination and the conflict between desire and fear, and how procrastination is reasonable sometimes because you are thinking through something. It is challenging to think through it, and you're not just lazy and you're not just whatever, all those judgments. But when we like what you said, Veronica, when we ask, like, okay, wait, yeah, what is going on for me? I've been avoiding the dishes for 3 days. Like, why am I doing that? And what's going on? That's when we can understand that when we're acting in these ways, it's actually usually reasonable. Like, it makes sense. And then you can, once you find that story, you can change it if you want. And if it doesn't make sense, then you've discovered that too. And then that is more information. And then the other thing, the phrase I loved was maintaining inner conflict, because I think we're so used to being victims. I mean, I was being victims to our feelings. So to understand that there is agency in whether we are maintaining inner conflict or not. I love that phrasing, because what's going on in here is the thing that we actually control the most, and we control it very little, but it is the thing that we control the most out of everything on this planet. And so I love that, just ownership, right? Kind of owning, okay, yes, I am continuing this situation or whatever it is. I think that that's really empowering and important. And I do agree, for women especially too, because of conditioning and so many different things that go on. And we're from different cultures, but like in my culture, it's just the way I was raised. I've had to decondition like a million things. Okay, like coming to America from like an Indian Muslim background, and just all of that, deconditioning those parts of myself, and really beginning to understand and empower myself, with like you're saying, like resources, right? That was a new concept to me. Like I when we first moved here, I just didn't even understand. I was like, what are you talking about resource? Like, what does that mean? And so it took me a while to learn it. So I love it. Like, just like all of the stuff we're talking about, it's really great. And yeah, thank you for letting me share that. Go ahead. I know you were going to share something.
Yeah, I just wanted to add here that rest is also similar to procrastination. Like, we do not allow ourselves to rest usually, right? And feel guilty, especially women and moms, for just doing nothing. But we need to remember that rest is productive. Rest is productive. It's also an essential process. It's like I sometimes, during my hustle periods, would say, okay, why do we need to sleep so much? Why can't I go without sleep for like several days in a row, or at least, or sleep at all? No, don't sleep at all. Then I say, okay, well, that's how it is. You need to accept it. That's how we are wired, and that's how we function. So we cannot do without food, sleep, rest, movement. So that's the basic things the basic laws that we need to follow. And that the things that we cannot control, meaning we cannot say that we don't need them, right? We need to find ways to live around this and build the right story, the right reality for us, where all these things work well. And before that, I wanted to quickly read a little list that I made up, put up today before the live, like some of the basic facts that we came up with from the challenge and why we chose to explore emotions. So why emotions? Because they're mysterious to many of us, because they take over our whole body and mind. And from our paragraphs about neuroscience behind the emotions and the biochemistry of emotions, we've learned so much of how it works. And they do live in the body, and mind and body and brain and body is the same system, right? We cannot kind of separate them. Yes. Also, emotions are known for interfering with our ability to think properly. I would say they're notorious for this ability. Both positive, so-called positive, and so-called negative ones, right? Like love, grief, fear, usually what we have in our collective narratives is the idea that emotions are something that is kind of a nuisance, something that's creating problems for us, right? But they bring so much wisdom and so much information that we need to unpack. And that's what was one of the reasons that we started this. Also, another note is that we often lack tools to process and regulate. And it's a skill that we need to have to keep us active and to stay functioning. We can learn to live in peace with emotions. That's another truth I've learned for myself. We can accept them as they are, download that information that they are trying to communicate, like a message notification, right? Read me. And we can act on this information once we have processed them, because when they're just too overwhelming, or when we do not allow ourselves to face them and see, okay, what's happening? Why am I anxious? Why am I so scared about this again and again, right? If we do this, then we can have access to this information. And also, emotions are everywhere, and they are meant to help us survive, and we cannot avoid them. Even those people who say that they're like, I'm not an emotional person, or I'm in full control over my emotions. That does not happen all the time. And I have a fresh story that maybe I'll share a little later about emotions. Not to get stuck here. Okay, let's do a little game that we've planned. We told you about it, and we want to try it. Yeah.
Yeah. You're speaking about metaphorical cat or another one? Because really, I can't see the chat, if any, and I'm not sure that anybody's here.
I don't think, because I looked at viewers, like currently it says Veronica, like you're the only one who's here right now. Because I think also like on Pacific time it's like 10 a.m. So the time too. But yeah, if we don't want to, that's okay too. I think it would be cool still though to like record it, and that way when you send it out, I think it'd still be cool to do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll do it in our special way.
Yeah, exactly. Just to finish this story about our emotional research, Polina, could you share that we had a real super subscriber, G, yeah, who shared her experience with us. What our challenge had a reflection for her, and what was the result for her as her own result after our emotional challenge. Could you share, please?
Yes, sure. I have it here. Yeah, G, if you are listening to us now or later, we thank you. We say hi to you. It's nice to meet you. We hope we have a chance to talk more too, because G has been our faithful follower and commenter of the challenge, and we've drawn so much wisdom and so much information about emotions, about how she sees emotions, and so many stories that came up. So we thank you once again, and want to share one of your latest comments on one of our posts. Gia wrote yesterday, hooray, a name has been ticked off the list. Some days were more challenging than others. At one point, I missed lots of days and then caught up. Started in the middle of the project and worked from there. Progress isn't linear, and that's what made it more interesting. So we're happy that our idea to run this challenge maybe gave some of you a chance to look inside a little deeper with new eyes. So if this brings at least some insights or some new skills that you can take, our mission is complete here for now.
And did you both learn anything from this? Anything new or surprising as you were going through it?
What about you, Veronica? Because I shared one of my insights. For me, it was that emotions are a real survival tool, from I can see for myself.
And for me, I was just thinking about that every story that we shared in our challenge, mm, it's a true story, the true stories from ourselves. I mean, and I think it's a perfect success if you want to share your honesty, to share, to be fair, to be honest with yourself, and to understand what are you really feeling and how you're feeling this or that emotion. And for me, it was also an example to help me with my teenager. Paulina knows this story because I have a teenager. One of my son, he has 15 years, and very often he's strictly emotional guy, and he shows his emotion. And my questions to him help me understand him. To understand him, I ask him very often, "Okay, I see you are angry, and what are you feeling, and where you is?" And sometimes he's nervous, but he responds, "Come in." He replies that it is something that I have in my throat, for example. It means, what does mean? It means that he has words that he can't explain. He can't share with me or with somebody else. Yeah, and it helped me and helped, and I hope it will help me in our future life with him to understand what is the problem, where is his problem, yeah, and how could I help him right now? Because tomorrow he will have another emotional level, but today, okay, what could we do? And perhaps it's professional problem, but I ask the question. I ask the questions. How could I help you? What could we do together with you? And what could you do for you yourself? Because just leaving you alone in your room, yeah, in your room, it will be the best idea. I don't know, but you see, for me, the most important thing is to understand what we are feeling and where, and to ask questions.
If you allow me, just the illustration to your to your story, Veronica, real quickly. I'm working on the post that will kind of summarize everything that we're talking about today and that we've learned through the challenge in the written form. And I'm finding new things that we kind of haven't covered. If you can see like this.
Oh, I love that.
There is
oh my gosh.
It's an image from a research that asked people where in the body they felt more activity. That's what yellow and red means, and less activity. So depression, if you see, right, it's basically the feeling of having cold feet, kind of what we say, and sadness, the same, right? Happiness is the full body experience. And contempt and envy, they're mostly in the head, because these are more complex emotions that we judge people by, right? So the first row shows the basic emotions, and the second, the bottom one, more complex ones. So that's what we're gonna.
Unfortunately, Substack doesn't give opportunity to share the screen, but we can. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul. Welcome. Yeah, I love the one that was depression, because when I was younger, I was much more depressed, and I couldn't get myself to do things. And it's so interesting that it was in the arms and the legs, which is the parts that we used to do things. I found that really interesting, and I love that happiness is all over. I think I agree with that. Also, Veronica, I wanted to share about just say about your story with your son. I do think emotional literacy is a really important thing for teenagers, and especially also for men. Men have been disconnected from self-awareness for so long. And I was reading actually it was the Gottman Method book about how men, when they went hunting, they used anger to hunt. And so it took them longer to come down from anger, and that's still with them. And then what was required was some sort of physical exertion or some sort of like retributive thing physically in order for that emotion of anger to go away. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're wired differently. We're wired differently. Women can like regulate that a lot faster. And that gave me a lot of empathy for men, because I was like, okay, like there is a reason why this is, like this. And then providing emotional literacy, emotional awareness can really help us communicate with each other and really understand each other better. So I just love that you even did that, because sometimes we just need someone to ask us the question and then we can ask ourselves. We'll remember like, oh yeah, wait, I was asked this interesting question, and it becomes part of the inner dialogue, which is so important. Anyway, okay, I'm done. I'm really done actually saying things now. Also, welcome, Paul. If you're here, just let us know, say hi, say something, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we're talking emotions today, and I think Fee's story was right on time, right? Comparing how women and men process emotions. So, Paul, if you're interested in emotions, just let us know where you are tuning in from. I'm in Texas. Fee's in the US too. Veronica is in Europe. And the next thing that we wanted to do is actually go really quickly through what are emotions, how they work in the body and mind, how we perceive them, just literally one phrase facts. And then we wanted to talk more about the ways how we can live with them better, how we can process emotions, because there are different approaches, starting from the mainstream ones to the mystical ones and Aboriginal cultures. They process emotions differently. So that's the width of this knowledge is what fascinates me so much, because there is so much value and treasure to take from each approach. So if you don't mind, we could go over this. And we also had a little activity planned with the metaphoric cards. We wanted to show you what it is and how we can use them, speaking about emotions and working with them. So what do you think, Veronica? Should we do the cards now or after we finish talking?
We'll never finish talking. So, just to show, because Paulina told me that in America and the USA, that's not very familiar metaphoric cards yet. But as well, I would like to share with you this technique. Oh, technique. Okay. Let it be. Paul, if no, I'm from Paris, so sometimes I speak French here. So I'm sorry.
Have a multicultural immersion experience.
Yeah. So metaphoric cards are for us just to show our inner world, and it means that we can see the associations, yes, that come up and that can help us to reflect our memories and to see it like a child world, something like this.
Yeah, and maybe not only memories, but also we could construct some future ideas, or dig deeper into what's happening now. So it's for me, it's universal.
And we have lots. Me, Paulina, we have lots of metaphoric cards because we work a lot about with. Okay, I will show you, like this one. Voila. The other ones. Up.
Some of them are really
similar
to the Dixit game.
Yeah, and that's like these are beautiful. They kind of look like Oracle or Tarot, but then it's just images in the art. I just love visual stuff. So I was immediately like, what? Show me more. That's great.
As for me, I love very much this collection. Voila. With the card, like, I'm sorry, it's sun. It's coming. Voilà. Like this, that. So, but what is the most important? That's every card we can see in different ways. For example, if now I will show you one card and we will see one emotion. Polina will see another one. And Paul, for example, if he would like to participate, he would share with us another emotion. So, for example, will be this one. Could you share with me, Fee, what is this card? What is emotion for you?
I think
You can see in this card. I don't know. Voila.
I mean, don't know if it's an emotion. I just thought of like liberation or like escaping or something like freedom.
Yeah.
You see, the most important thing, you have no limit with your imagination, with your what you would like to see. You see, it's the important thing that you could find the more details with every new view. Yeah. Voilà.
I would say here a mystery for me. The first word that came up, mystery. And it can be an emotional word or it can be a very rational word like liberation, what you said. But then we can ask like, okay, and what's emotion? What emotion is connected to this concept of liberation?
Paul, would you like to share your point of view with us? No? Perhaps. I don't know. And what about this one? Really interesting. Do you feel something, Steve? Wally?
I think for me, it's kind of cozy. I don't know why, but it's like it feels like homey, or like safety, something like that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, some comfort and fall, like autumn. That's what the words that came to me. But yeah, something comforting and safe. Probably because of this like soft, warm colors to me.
And for me, it's it's autumn. Autumn, yeah,
yeah.
I don't know why, but as well, I see this image. I think about autumn.
Yeah,
because of colors, perhaps. And in that way, we can work with these cards with different questions. So we can show 5 cards at the same time, and I can I can ask the question, for example, what is your life is similar? It's similar, or what is your life is now for you? And
how does life feel like? How does your life feel like to you?
Yeah. And what would you like to see in this card to have your best life you want?
Yes, it's a very universal tool. You can work with it in so many ways. You can then, people can open cards in an open manner, like seeing the cards, or they can ask you to draw a card secretly, kind of like, I want this card, or they pick the covered up card and then they see what they have. But you need to have an intention and ask a question first. And then you pull a card in whatever way you like. Then you ask more questions, then you combine them, then you can move them around and see how it feels for you when this story that we get from these symbols, how it shifts, how it can be transformed, and what does it mean to you. It can be used in so many ways to work with traumatic experiences, to work with future plans, to build strategies, anything. And there are so many cards based on archetypes mostly, or on symbolism. And you can actually create them from anything. I have some so these do have some labels. Because the metaphoric cards, their main thing is that they do not offer any explanations. You need to draw this from your subconscious. Right here, there are some cards that do have suggestions, and these are mostly like oracle cards, but they're also nice. So this one is to work with female archetypes, goddesses, and some other ones that are these are from Ukraine, and they are different. Some are really dark because we need to work with the shadow parts too.
I love the dark stuff. For me, I'm just always like,
Great.
because I actually find the dark like very comforting, honestly. Like when I need comfort, I'm like, I need a blanket, I need like broth, I need like darkness. Or if I have a migraine, it's like, I need that, darkness piece. And sometimes the light, I love the light too, but it can be really overwhelming. So when you pulled out the dark ones, I was immediately like, yes, like show, like I love it. It was really great. Thank you for sharing these.
That was the reason why I choose this one, the first one. Yeah. So the next our video will be about metaphoric card just for you, Fee. We will ask the question. I will find the response.
We can arrange that. Yeah. For some people, it's way easier to work with visuals rather than concepts and words, right? Because when we ask this classical question, can you label your emotions? What are you feeling? For some people, it's hard because maybe the vocabulary is not enough, right? Or we cannot express it, or we don't feel like that's the right word and we cannot find the right one. Sometimes it's easier to draw something or to express with your body movement or to pick an image.
Totally. And I used to work with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and they had icon books, and now they have apps. But back then they had books, and so when they wanted a meal, they would like flip the book over to like food to show like they want food, or if they were using sign language, they would use sign language. But some people couldn't do some of the motor things for sign language, so it was just easier to point to an icon and get the need met. And I love that there are alternative ways of kind of understanding ourselves and also other people, because sometimes you're right, we do get so stuck in talking, writing, and communicating that way that we don't, even dance, communication through dance or dance therapy or any movement-based therapy where you're expressing, okay, what does anger, how would you move if you're angry? How would you move if you're sad? How would you move if you're happy? That is also expressive and really gets it out, but like without having to intellectualize it with words. So anyway, that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Yes, totally. Okay, so I wanted to go really quickly to kind of summarize our findings. So what are emotions? I'll just give some key phrases, key points from the dictionary, right? The mainstream definition. Emotion is a natural instinctive state of mind deriving from one's circumstances, mood, or relationships with others. Or another dictionary gives this explanation: instinctive or intuitive feeling as distinguished from reasoning or knowledge. So here it's again in opposition to the intellectual part of the brain. How emotions work in body-mind, right? So for now, I prefer to call our body-mind like a one-word concept, just written with a hyphen, because I was several years ago at a stage of conflict between finding the truth, like, okay, what do we need to attend to first when we're in crisis, right? To body or mind, or what, like this conflict. And then I just came to the understanding that it's all the same. That's one unity. So we will talk more about this more in detail in this future post. But to say shortly how these emotions work in our body-mind, they work through a limbic system, prefrontal cortex, this connection. And there are more parts to it inside. And I'm sure that neuroscientists can talk more and more about it and explain it in more details. Plus hormones and sensory systems, right? And it's a never-ending cycle of emotions communicating with our thoughts and our body physical sensations. Because when we're feeling this increased heartbeat because we got scared of something, right? Our brain again tries to interpret it to figure out what does this sensation now means and what to do about it, right? Because when we're feeling scared, then we can have some secondary emotions on top of it. When we start feeling embarrassed because we're experiencing fear in public, right? Or we may be feeling shame because someone noticed something about us that we didn't want to. So it's really complex thing. And this emotion, thought, and behavior circle is never ending. How we perceive emotions, that's what we try to explore in posts in multiple ways. Someone just what we've just spoken about, right? Someone could explain it with words. Some other people feel emotions more in the body, and it's easier to process them through movement, right? Or through somatic dance. For some, it's easier to express it through art, right? Visual arts or theatrical arts or music, right? Sing whatever we are feeling. What information do emotions bring? Again, in my words, to me, they help me, they tell me how to survive and what my experience means. Because eventually, whatever I analyzed over the past few days, it's basically our survival instincts. Because whenever we're feeling disconnection from others because of, I don't know, social isolation, like it was during COVID, it was a threat to our surviving because we are wired to be around people, right? Or whenever we're feeling disgust, either to something physical or to some concept, right? Like racism. It means that this is a threat to our survival because then we may also feel disconnected, or we may feel that we've betrayed our own values, and then we will get into conflict with ourselves. So to me, it's basically this, and that's a way to interpret reality. If you get to our page, you will see what emotions we have explored. There is a list of 30 emotions like guilt, excitement, envy, amusement, heartbreak, pride. You can read more about each one, and we have tried to include visuals, pictures, art, like some diagrams. And probably it's important to note that for now we've analyzed like which emotions were more engaging to the readers from what we can see from analytics. There are some fresh posts that will need some time, of course, but from what we see now, grief, love, unity, and heartbreak, they were those that people engaged with the most. It's curious for us to know what you think, why it happened. Maybe maybe you have your own ideas of why it happened. What are the reasons that people interacted with these posts more?
Yeah, because I did. I think I also interacted with grief when I saw it come up. I think it's so. There's a quote from this book about grief, which is that I forgot the title of it, but it's so good because she lost her husband when she was like 27, and he drowned. And so she spent years trying to metabolize that whole experience. And one of the things she said is that grief is love in its most wild form. And I really loved that line because I think it is so true. And I think we've gone through so much grief, especially because of COVID, but a lot of other things. I mean, we're 5 years from COVID, right? But there are also a lot of other things going on, and it's an emotion that I think is just inherent to being alive. And it's so complex. There's so many different things. I had a family member who died recently, and I was talking to his wife, and she said she was mad at him, and she was ashamed that she was mad at him. And I was like, whoa, that's so, it's so knotted in there. It's so complex, all these thoughts that are going on, and guilt and shame and regret and anger and, betrayal and abandonment and all these different pieces that are in there. So I think that's why people, when they hear grief, they resonate because it touches so many emotions. And it's so wild. It's really challenging to go through that one.
Yes. For grief, I think one of the recent videos that we actually shared with each other with Veronica from Liz Gilbert was when she shared how one of her friends suggested her to work with the waves of grief, because she describes grief coming in waves. And she said that I tried this advice, and basically the process was to lie down on the floor in a starfish shape and let the wave of grief, roll over you, and let it be, because it does shatter us, right? So when we are feeling these heavy emotions, the body becomes weak. So it's probably a safe process, right, to go about it. And she said that just let it be, stay with it, accept it as if it's a wave, literally an ocean wave coming. And then in a few minutes, she says, you will notice that it comes down, and you get some thought, usually something like, well, I need a glass of water. And then you get better, and then you go on with your life until the next wave comes at a certain time.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. And it's true, because I'm the person who lived and who's living in grief, and I know exactly that the most important thing in any emotion we have is to let it be. To let it be, to accept the ways you can feel this emotion, because it's like waves. Yeah. You can feel this in a very high level, and in 2 days you think that's okay, now it's better. But in a week, it becomes one more wave, and it depends on every day that you live this emotion. But the most important thing to regulate every emotion that we have is to let it be, to accept, and to permit yourself to live deeply this emotion that you can imagine.
Yes, and we've come to this final part that we wanted to share, which is the most important, probably, right? The practical value of exploring emotions. Okay, and how can I use this knowledge to help me live a better life? And there are multiple approaches that came up from our research, from those that can be harmful, like suppressing emotions. We've spoken about it. It does drain energy and can cause physical health problems. Like, it's a no-brainer. And healthier ones, like cognitive reframing, reappraisal, right, which is linked to growth mindset. Like, whenever we fail in something, we can perceive it as a personal failure and feel ashamed, or we can take it as a lesson, right, and get some wisdom out of it. There are ways to process emotions, like emotion acceptance, observation, something similar to meditations, Buddhism, yoga, or non-spiritual ones like response modulation, right? We can just watch what's happening in our body and just be observers. I love this tool a lot. And something like distraction or attention regulation, like whenever we are sitting in a traffic jam, for example, we may just accept that it is what it is. And okay, I'll spend this time just with some use to myself, and I'll listen to our podcast, for example. There are also some Aboriginal knowledge. Like it was so curious for me to learn that in Aboriginal cultures, people would process emotions collectively, and I know that it's a thing in some cultures still. I know that in Israel, for example, I know that people tend to come to the house of a person who have lost someone and grieve together for a week or even longer. So to share this burden, to share and to process, to sing. That's why there are some rituals involved which help process this. But to summarize it all, I would say that the first thing is to let yourself accept it, let it be, right? Let this emotion be in a safe space. It can be, I don't know, hiding in a closet if you have kids at home for a few minutes, right? In the bathroom, that works. Or even closing your eyes if you're somewhere in a public space, I don't know, in a public transport, right? And just being with yourself for a few minutes. Breathe, because it helps. It's number one physiological tool that we have that helps us regulate our state, right? Whenever you can start breathing heavily on purpose and you will feel more energy, right? Or you can start feeling more relaxed if you slow down your breath and let those emotions be. And there are different ways to do it. Just watch them as an observer, as if you're watching a film about yourself, living through this emotion. Or you can talk to them like, okay, I can see you, anxiety. What do you have to say? What does it mean that you're here? We can dance. We've spoken about this, right? We can draw. We can turn it into something, like express it in a way that works for us. We can ask ourselves, okay, what does it feel like the right thing for me to do now to let this emotion be acknowledged, seen, so that I can draw some knowledge from it. Because another yoga teacher that I'm following, she lost her son in an early age, one of her sons, and she speaks about grief a lot. And she, on the contrary to Liz Gilbert's approach, she says that I know that for myself, if I'm not moving whenever I'm feeling this wave of grief, it will freeze me for a long time. So I've learned to move in grief, to go for a walk, run, dance, like in a free form, or draw. And she started drawing such beautiful pictures and creating art, because she says that that's how I process my grief. So through this kind of movement. So there are different ways that can work better or worse for us, just depending on how we're built. But the main thing is that face this emotion, open up to it, and know that it's here not to harm us, but to help us. That's my my final line in my monologue.
And
No, that's perfect. Yeah.
Could you share what do you use to regulate your emotion? For example, negative. I mean, just to
Yeah, because I read Crucial Conversations. I don't know if you read it, but they basically said that thoughts precede emotions. And, CBT and DBT and a bunch of stuff is like based on that. But there's this exercise by Amy Porterfield, who's a marketer. But this is actually like a self-help mindset shifting tool. It's called the 4 Ns. So you can look up, she has a blog on it. But you notice the thought, you normalize it. So why does it make sense that you're thinking this? You neutralize it. So you just state the facts. And each of these has to be something you believe. It cannot be something you're trying to believe. It has to be something you actually believe. And then the last one is next best thought. So what is something that you could think instead that's like 1% improvement that you would actually believe, but not like straight to affirmation of like, I can fly or whatever, but like actually being realistic with it. The thing that I've noticed for me is that emotions take time. And I was not, one, I didn't have the luxury of time before, but also two, I wasn't making time for the feelings. They do take time. It's okay to spend 15 minutes feeling a day. It's okay to do that. It's really important to do that and understand that it's not selfish. You're not lazy because you're not constantly doing things. And even if you take a whole day, you're like, what did I do today? Oh, I felt my feelings. Freaking amazing. If more people felt their freaking feelings without external, okay, sorry, I'm a little ranty here, but
Yes.
it's just really powerful to do that, to feel your feelings yourself, be there with them. Like, both of you have been saying, it's really important to do that and to give yourself the time to do that in whatever way that you can. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Fee. Thank you, girls. I think we should finish already. As for the time, yeah. But as I told you before, it won't be stopped by
Yes.
anybody. We have
We could talk more.
in common, yeah, and we have always something to discuss. So we can do it in the other
Next
video.
time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just I would ask the others to share with us what new challenge, research challenge, would be interested for you that we can realize, that we can write about, that we can discuss, yeah, and share with us your ideas, and perhaps Fee, you have something like an idea for us for the future process.
We
Yeah, I
have
mean,
something planned, but we want to hear what you think.
I think one thing right off the bat for me is different coping strategies. So just exploring a different, like for a walk or breathing exercise or something just really simple and free, something free. But yeah, that would be great. But thank you so much for this opportunity, this conversation. It's been really great. And yeah, thank you both, seriously.
Thank you so much. So subscribe, follow, and we'll see you there.
Yeah. Thank you. See you.
Everyone.
Bye.